are here finally. The start of this roundtable has been cursed and plagued with many things going on in our lives the last 2 weeks.
We'll be back next Monday for this. Good night, everybody.
But yes, we are here, we are live, and we are going to be talking Fantastic Beasts and where to find them this week.
Definitely not in your asshole.
I am not alone. I am joined by the Mouth and Connor and Basement. How are you guys doing tonight?
Still recovering
I was the Mouth.
Crash. yeah. What am I?
That's my street name, the Mouth.
I can't wait to talk about
Mouth. M-O-U-F.
I can't wait to talk about the cross the animal that's a cross between a duck-billed platypus and a porcupine.
You mean
to
the one
steal
that's
your
Basement's
riches.
picture?
Porcupus.
You know what? Like in this day and age, they must be fucking starving for it because everything's fucking virtual money.
Yeah.
So what is he collecting now? Huh? Gold teeth? Fucking weird.
Welfare.
No, if you remember, he was also collecting jewelry still too. So.
Yeah. Wow.
And they were. I'm just saying is that like they were worried about the goblins, but anyway.
Yeah. The goblins control all of the money. Yet there's this little thing running around stealing it all.
This definitely was no Harry Potter. I will say that.
They're gonna talk about like stereotypes.
What kind of stairs?
Types.
Ah.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah. We're gonna find out if we thought that this movie was, or compared to the Harry Potters.
Well,
compared to the Harry Potters,
everybody knows it's going to be a...
But we're also going to take a deep dive and see if this actually does go better with the prequel story of Dumbledore's past life before we jump into Harry's future life.
Dumbledore's ass-pounding era.
Yes. So, without going into details, who wants to start off with their original thoughts? And
Connor does.
You're the Mouth.
I was going to go...
Mouth is silent.
You always start first.
Well, I'm just saying, I'm not going to be here very long.
Okay.
All right, JP, go for it.
So, where this series of movies go has nothing to do with the first one in my eyes. Because the person that these movies are essentially based on isn't fucking even in this one. I think he's mentioned like twice. And that's Dumbledore. So that's where this movie kind of, yes.
Well, the way I'll explain it more when it's my turn.
And that's fine. I understand what they're doing. They're building a base. But where the story goes, this movie had nothing to do with that. It had everything to do with this Newt Scamander and his fucking Asperger's fucking whatever the fuck was wrong with him. Walking around fucking looking for fucking animals and fantastic beasts or whatever. I didn't mind the movie, I will say that, but it definitely had its moments of I want to slam my head into a wall.
All right. Connor?
I don't hate the movie. There's a lot of like flushing. Like I there's parts of it that I appreciate them flushing out the lore and world building. But I feel like, and I mentioned this I think several times we were watching it over the last weekend, was that I wish this was a HBO Max series that was done or at least produced sort of while the Harry Potter movies were still in production and still in the theaters. I mean, I know that's really backdating, but I didn't. There was lots that I enjoyed about it, but it obviously lacked a lot of the punch and weight to it that gave that made Harry Potter such a classic and beloved like series. Between characters, the story, and everything, it just felt a little like, honestly, and this is the best way to describe it. It's true. It's the best way I can think of the way to describe it. So didn't hate it, but there's just a lot of just yeah.
Yeah, I agree. That's essentially what I was going to go with.
Basement?
it's not like a step down. It's multiple steps down from what Harry Potter was. It's not like an
Step aside.
uninteresting. It's not an uninteresting watch, but I feel like where Harry Potter had grown so large, a lot of the people that watched the movies read the books, and then they released this, which tried to establish a world building aspect of like an earlier time frame that wasn't necessarily needed. The world was built so well by Harry Potter that I think they could have done a lot more to get more quickly into the main storyline that was going to take place. They really fucked around for like an hour of this movie.
Yeah.
And I think it does hurt it. But I get like the idea of they're probably going to want to be like, we want to make a movie that people that haven't seen Harry Potter, whoever they are that are going to watch this, are going to be like, okay, I kind of get what's going on. But it's really meandering. It's still, I think I was entertained enough watching it. It's longer than it needs to be, and the storyline it's trying to tell, it rushes at the end.
Okay.
Overall, it's a very middling movie for me.
It's
worse than all the other Harry Potters.
Having not seen this show either, and I'm making this as a comparison on paper, it's kind of like Picard for me for Star Trek Next Generation. I love Star Trek Next Generation. When I heard like, oh, we're going to do a spin-off with just Picard years after, it's like, why?
Money,
like,
money.
I know the real answer, but just like
I think that, do you think this movie kind of suffers from like a lead that you don't really care about?
There's a lot of things I don't care about.
Like there is a character, a likable character in this, and he's criminally underused. And he's really the vessel for the fans or for anybody watching it. And we get too much Newt and not enough understanding of Newt at the same time.
Yeah.
I feel like they knew they were going to make multiple movies, so they kind of like held off on giving information that's vital to make a like fully fleshed out movie.
Was it tasteful, Newt?
I hope not.
That's gonna be my new bet. That's gonna be my dad joke for this whole review. Tasteful Newts.
All right. Now, what these were made for was not more for Dumbledore. This was part of Dumbledore's past.
So it's about Dumbledore. This is my point.
It's more about Grindelwald.
And Dumbledore.
So
it's more about neither of them. Like me and Connor are kind of in the same boat. I only saw this movie before once, and then I watched this. I haven't seen the others.
Yeah.
Connor, you haven't seen the others too. So you guys are coming from a different perspective.
I've seen all of them.
So like when I say I don't get the fucking, there's an origin story slightly for Grindelwald, but it's like nothing to me.
Well, it should be a little bit more than that, considering Grindelwald was mentioned in the Harry Potter movies.
Yes.
Several times.
Yeah, but that's like I'm watching wrestling and they mentioned something 4 years ago and I'm supposed to remember it now. It's just there's like huge disconnect.
Well, that's why they're doing, and I get what you're saying, but that's why they did these movies. But I think this is more about the backstory for Dumbledore and Grindelwald.
This is why I was saying my suggestion was this would have been at least had more chances to be successful if they placed it during or produced these during the height of the Harry Potter fever pitch, because let's face it, like I'm not trying to like slight the franchise, but obviously once the final book came out, it kind of leveled off a little bit. And
I feel like though, like what you're trying to apply is something that didn't exist then. And I agree.
Yeah.
It's it's how Disney or Marvel should be doing. Like they should world build their main movies in their side action on Disney Plus. Which I mean, if it was a case back then I agree with you.
Or release the movies in like every other one with a final set of Harry Potter movies, because then you have a reason to be invested. Like, oh, this is how. We know we're going to go with this with Dumbledore. Let's see how this all ties together and like wrap up the loose ends. It's kind of like almost like the prequel of Star Wars in a way.
I think it's
breath.
I I think it's worse somewhat than the prequel to Star Wars. I like the prequels are like a lot of people shit on them, and I do too, because like I don't know what I think they just misunderstood some of the fan base, but like this is I think they should have come up with something a bit more compelling. I mean, a main story a bit more compelling, and now because this was released in 2018 or whatever, then like you said, Connor, they could have
2016.
put this as like a side piece to like on HBO Max or whatever to whatever that next main Harry Potter storyline is.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the last thing I'll just say is what would have been really cool is if the moments where they're pulling the memories out of Dumbledore's brain and like into the pond thing. I can't
The
talk
pence.
clearly. Yep, that's where you could have done some previews for these movies. Start there with a couple of small memories, and then flush them out into the bigger, fuller, deeper. But that's bigger picture near here. The bottom line is that it's tough. There's a lot for me that I can see that the lore and the world building that I can enjoy and get behind. But I think the timing of it, both after the Harry Potter like high buzz and everything else, just didn't quite click for me the same way. I know it's going a certain way in the other movies, so maybe I'll change my mind by then.
So here's the thing.
No, he said it.
No.
No, the reason that I say that is my question is when you're talking now when Dumbledore takes memories out, are you talking about during the Harry Potter series or
When he went to go
Yes.
get Tom Riddle, yes.
I was saying it would be
when
kind of clever if they could give like a preview of that.
So my next question is, when did J.K. Rowling, because J.K. Rowling wrote these books.
These were released in the 90s, were they not?
The Fantastic Beasts books?
No, they were released after.
Fantastic Beast was like an add-on afterwards, like a small novel.
Same as Cursed Child.
Novella.
Again, I don't, and this is why I say I don't, the reason why they probably didn't do that is because the books weren't written yet.
Well, yeah, like it's out of order because it has to be.
Yeah.
Ideally, if we could fix everything and redo it, then
Hindsight,
yeah,
I
change things
think
around.
they could do a what do you call it?
I feel like this movie felt a lot like Solo.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm one of the people that didn't really mind Solo. I thought it was okay. It was an okay watch, but it's kind of like we're going to establish and go forward with lore that you already know the ultimate outcome of. It did really follow some of the New Age like Star Wars storytelling, which I think is you can still get a good movie, but you'll never get a great movie because you know where it's heading.
Agreed.
And Connor brought up a great point when we were watching it, that it's like there's no kids. Right? There's no kids in this movie. It's not a kid. There's not an entry point like that.
It's not. There are children in this movie because of the two characters, but it's not central around the children.
Right, which is all well and good, but I think
Right.
that's one of the. I just think that's one of the reasons why it probably didn't do as well as one of the reasons why it didn't do as well and didn't have the same charm as the original Harry Potter franchise.
It hurts like the wonderment of like the magical world because
you do.
it's aimed at
Watch these
like,
kids
young
almost
adults.
die.
I also felt like it's a weird movie where I don't know. Its audience is definitely like Harry Potter fans, but outside of that, I don't know because it's not geared towards kids because everyone in it's like 30 plus, and it's not necessarily geared towards adults because it's about Harry Potter magic. So it was kind of destined to be middling no matter what they did if they followed the storyline.
Right. But
12 out of 10.
quick little
13 out of 10.
shout out. Quick little shout out to those in the chat. We got Kratos, Alpha, and Cody joining us right now. So yeah, everybody else talked it to death. So let's jump in on the storyline here. Stop, Wendy. That hurt. Stop. That is so annoying. In the year 19... Well,
Yeah, her face changed because she knows she's a fucking monster.
yeah, she was scratching at the seam of my pants. In the year 1926, in the Harry Potter universe, The dark wizard Gellert Grindelwald is terrorizing the magical community, and witches and wizards from all over the world are on high alert as he prepares to launch his next attack. Newt Scamander travels from London to New York City with a briefcase full of magical creatures, or fantastic beasts. You didn't have to add that in, but whatever. When he arrives, his case is inspected by a customs official. But Newt is able to hide the magic from Muggle eyes. Some men are inspecting a building downtown that has been torn through. The Auror Percival Graves comes by to see the damage. An unseen force runs underground and destroys part of the street. Destroyed the whole street. God.
Cancel culture.
Yeah. As he walks through the city, Newt comes across Mary Lou Barebone. Great name.
Mm-hmm.
A fundamentalist and leader of the Second Salemers. I almost said Salamanders. An anti-magic group with her adopted children, Credence, Modesty, and Chastity. She spreads a hateful message about magic folk and how they need to be exterminated. As she tries to get Newt to join her, a Niffler escapes from his case when it sees a shiny silver coin. It makes its way to the bank, forcing Newt to go after it. So yeah, we're introduced to Newt Scamander here.
Well, is that actually how the movie started, though?
Yes.
Well, the thing is, what she said first is done in, like, the stupidest way. It's done showing newspaper articles. Harry Potter
movies. They do the news flashes.
I know, but it's like, for me, when I was watching it, it's the thing I paid the least attention to. Yet it's, like, actually pretty fucking important to the storyline. I wish they, instead of, like, doing, like, newspaper articles, flipping by a million of them, show me something. Show me, like, it's a terrible
like
way.
By the way, this shit's
this
shit's
is all
going
happening
down.
behind.
But they
the
showed
scenes.
like in between that there was like shit articles that made nothing. Like we were talking about like why does everybody care about Hogwarts? Show me like a scene of this guy like wreaking havoc, and then do a little recap of like how the world. I think that was like even on my first watch through, I never got like the understanding of what you said the movie started with.
Yeah. Yeah, the movie opened with the newspaper clippings flashing by, and then we get Newt on the boat.
I didn't retain anything from the news clippings, which I think
other than
Hogwarts, which I think is like a failure of the film because it's not visually you're not telling me the storyline, you're showing me but you're showing me like in a fucking 10-second clip.
To make comparisons, the Harry Potter movies did it mid and end of movie, which made sense because there was a drastic change in the middle of the movies. And then obviously the ending, it's kind of akin to like almost like a Looney Tunes cartoon where it's like all these, great, everything. No, seriously, like, it's like everything's resolved. Everything's back to normal. Everything's all, people are dead. Yay. I mean, no. But
when it happened with Umbridge, we had seen what she was doing. Yeah. So this was just like extrapolating on that. This is not the same at all.
Are you sure that this is how it's wasn't there a scene where
exactly
like this synopsis didn't even hit on what it introduced the movie. It introduced Newt Scamander, and he was
this is how the movie started.
He was
100%.
sitting on the boat, and then his suitcase, one of the buckles on his suitcase opened. He closed it, picked up the suitcase, and said, "Not right now, Dougal. We are almost there."
Okay.
He was on the boat, which is what they said.
Okay. Fine. I thought there was something where he was looking for one of the creatures. Anyway, go ahead.
I mean, that's what's revealed, but it's revealed like much. This movie is like very weirdly like whoever decided to show things in certain orders fucked me up.
That was the reason he gave to the investigator later on.
What we're introduced to though is they're setting up the magical world. They're showing Hogwarts and stuff, and then they show the Statue of Liberty. It was like, okay, we're in America.
Yes.
And that was like the establishing shot of where we are. But there's a lot of like exposition in shitty ass fucking newspapers that I did not retain.
Then watch it.
Give me a second.
Your daily dose of birth control, ladies and gentlemen.
Yay! Sorry, I had to step off for a second. I just came back at a good time.
I think she wants to watch it on the TV. Either way, she needs to get out of the office if she's just gonna whine.
Go.
What are your guys' thoughts on Newt Scamander?
You mean, what's his name?
I don't look at people because I'm scared. If I look at them, I'll become a stone.
Sean Murphy. I am a surgeon.
I feel like he was overacted to a point that I didn't give a shit.
We literally looked up while we were watching the movie. Like, is this like him? Like, I didn't
Does he
know.
have like some form of like autism or something? Because
Right.
Yeah. When the fuck did we get ice cream? But
I'm glad we all shared the same thought. It's like he's supposed to be like a shy guy, and he does come across as like shy and not confident of himself, but he's like a master of like controlling beasts or whatever. But he also comes across as a fucking asshole.
Yes.
And like
I
just didn't know how to take him.
I want to reiterate this for the record, because I said this throughout the entire movie when we were watching it. Almost everyone is an asshole in this movie.
You should have watched Champions, man.
Oh, now I want to. But I see what they were trying to go with some sort of like goofy, charming, socially awkward person who has this like illicit mastery of like a specific skill or like, you know, or zoology or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
But it comes across so forced.
I never got charming
No.
as a lead.
No, I
Essentially-
never did either.
I think they were going for it, but in some ways he's perfectly cast, and in some ways he's horribly cast. The character needs to do too much, and the actor doesn't do him enough.
Go ahead.
No, you're gonna forget your point if you
I
don't
was
go,
just
so.
gonna point out. We're gonna do it. I might steal Heather's thunder here, but Newt Scamander was the author of the book, if you remember, in The Prisoner of Azkaban. Yes.
No, you're not going to steal my thunder.
Okay. He was the author. Newt Scamander was the author of the book.
Scamander?
Sure. Was the author of the book in The Prisoner of Azkaban. If you all remember that one that tried attacking Harry, he was the author of that book.
Wrong.
I think it was called Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them.
Nope, it was called Care of Magical
Is it
Creatures.
Care of Magical
Monster Manual or something?
There you go. So, but he was the author of that book. So, just wanted to point that out.
I love how that's the redeeming quality for him, is they read the book.
No.
But sorry.
He's such a weird and semi-unlikable character.
I
is.
think he's supposed to be.
I think what they were trying to go for with his character, having that one specific thing being Beast, I think they were trying to make him the adult version of Neville. Because remember him and discovering his love for herbology.
That's exactly.
And that being the only thing he was good at.
I get the idea that he had more in common with like communicating and connecting with animals than people. I get the idea of the character, but I still have like.
But no,
he's a problematic lead.
He is.
Which is why they have the other guy, who is
We are about to
more
meet,
of a
so.
lead, but not shown enough to be a lead, in my mind. This movie is like trying to establish way too much.
Yep.
yeah, it's got a big uphill battle right from the get-go.
All right. Moving on here. Inside the bank, Newt meets Jacob Kowalski, a factory worker who is there to apply for a loan so he can open a bakery. Newt runs off when he sees the Niffler, leaving behind an alchemy egg that Jacob picks up. Newt tries to catch the Niffler while Jacob meets with a bank employee to get a loan. But since he uses baked goods as collateral instead of something valuable, He is denied. Before Newt can grab the Niffler, Jacob notes that the egg is hatching. Newt uses his wand to pull Jacob towards him, which is seen by Porpentina Goldstein. Porpentina, sorry. Sorry for that name. Goldstein, an American witch. Newt and Jacob find the Niffler in the bank vault just as a bank employee catches them. Newt petrifies him and grabs the Niffler to gets the Niffler to drop all the things it stole before he apparates himself and Jacob out of the bank. Newt prepares to obliviate Jacob and wipe his memories, but Jacob grabs his case, hits Newt in the face, and runs off. Tina catches Newt and takes him with her after seeing what he's been carrying. That was a whole lot of nothing in that giant paragraph.
I love how this scene shows how awesome Newt is and also how much of a lame ass he is in one felt swoop.
Yes, but it also shows the guy that played Jacob, Dan Fogler. He's a good actor.
Well, he saves this movie for me. To be honest,
me and Basin are on the same page that we think he's the best one in the entire movie.
I agree with you. I agree.
I mean, he's written to be the fan favorite. Again, with Newt, it's like he's like an absent-minded beast. There's certain things about his character that don't add up for me, and that's why I think I kind of hate him. Because he's absent-minded, yet he's a fucking dickhead and throws beasts at people. Yet he raises them and knows everything about them and is like fully in love with them. Yet he's so fucking irresponsible.
Well, the thing with Newt is I think he's socially awkward.
It took him the whole movie to fucking put rope around his fucking thing.
He gets better in my eyes as the movies go along.
He's not terrible. He's just not.
He's not.
I don't think he knows himself.
Yeah, he's a very he's just an entity in the movie. I don't love or hate him, but and he's like the core of this movie, which I think is the problem.
He's fucking Data from Star Trek.
Yes.
Oh my God! Yeah, that's who he is.
Get used to him. Because
2 more movies to go through.
This thing, I think, I think I know where they're kind of going, and he's a fine character to be part of a movie. He's not the best lead in my mind for this storyline.
Agreed. Amazing supporting character.
Yeah, well, they have I don't have a problem with pretty much any of the other characters. Colin Farrell does a great job. Both of the women do a great job. And everybody else in the movie, I really don't have a problem with. Ezra Miller.
We'll get there.
Okay, so I will ask you, who would you rather have as the character?
I think it's not the actor. I think it's just the character.
Well,
and then you're changing the source material, and you should.
Well, then you're gonna have to blame it on the actor because that character was sent by Dumbledore. He was sent by Dumbledore.
I think it's
throughout
a 1-2
this whole
punch for
movie,
me.
Newt Scamander is the centric character for everything that happens in Fantastic Beasts.
I think just as a writing piece, he is a very blah main character.
Then it's the actor, it's not the character.
I actually blame J.K. Rowling.
I think it's a mix of I think it's a 1-2 punch of both the character and the story and the context of where we're at too, because it's like, hey, let's go from magic to creatures, which still cool concept, but it's like, while magic is still featured in the movie, it's not even. It's more of a back burner thing, and so it's kind of weird. It's just off.
A bit. Okay. Question to you guys, because in Harry Potter, in the first one, we watch Harry's integration into the Wizarding world, and this goes on for 3 or 4 movies. But it's also the Wizarding world that exists beyond the regular world. You don't get a lot of that. You get one scene where they go through the side doors instead of the spinning doors, and they enter into like the ministry or whatever it is, the American version. You don't get like the Diagon Alley. You don't get any of the like other like tidbits of wizarding. It's basically the 1920s fucking America. You don't get
It is
addition.
1920s America, and of course it's 1920s New York. So there's literally nowhere that they could really show Wizarding World stuff unless it's inside a building or in a dark alley.
Well, Diagon Alley was like a fucking like secret entrance. You could do
Behind a pub.
something like that. You could do something like that, and the movie does not broach that at all. And I think that's also like an issue I have if they want to establish a new area where wizarding is taking place, and they are not going to they're going to show the bare minimum of the wizarding world and base the entirety of it in reality, and then also include like an alternate history where people are fighting against wizards. It's a weird.
Yeah, it's off.
It's a weird combination. Yeah.
Like
But
this
that's
is
the-
why
that's the- what I felt while
this
watching
is
it.
this is why I said the person that these movies actually base around is not Newt Scamander. It is Dumbledore, which irked the shit out of me because he wasn't in the first one. He was only mentioned.
Right.
If you're
This
telling
movie
me
does
he's
not
the centric character,
necessarily feel like a Harry Potter movie.
No, it's not. But back to the
don't think
scene
it-
at the bank.
and that's the problem that I think that's where I think people are missing the point, because it's not supposed to be a Harry Potter movie. It's supposed to be a movie about the wizarding world. That's all I'm saying.
Well, the Wizards need to get their fucking shit together because they can't even take care of a Muggle with a case because Jacob just fucking kicked Newt's ass and then just like ran off with all sorts of shit.
I mean, it happens.
Then Newt needs to be fired immediately.
I want to know how those pastries.
But he's
stay
not
perfect.
hired by anybody.
This
Yeah,
movie also showcases like a lot of like magic happening in the real world, blatantly, and it touches on like an excuse, but it doesn't explain anything.
I mean, would you?
Harry Potter takes place in the wizarding world. This takes place in the real world. And there's fucking streets being torn up by invisible shit, buildings being destroyed by invisible shit, the fucking guy, the little Niffler stealing everybody's shit, and then he teleports to and from, and he tries to, he's like, you have to make Jacob forget, but what about everybody that saw him disappear?
Well, they do that.
I mean, how'd you feel about that, Heather, with them like introducing it now and more like, hey, we're in the real world now. We're gonna be fuck that building.
Well, it's also, as we saw later on in the movie, that they do obliviate the people on the street that do see what happens.
And the people that didn't see anything, they just obliviate them too.
Just roofie the populace. When we get there, we'll get there, because Connor's like, what about the people inside?
Yeah. We'll get there when we get there, but yeah. You're also basing this off of a movie where in the very first one, the very first main character does no magic other than accidental magic in the entire movie. Harry Potter.
Good old accidental magic. I think
Harry
the
Potter
last thing
in the entire first movie never actually intentionally casted a spell.
Okay. He just did. I got it. When he was in the fucking zoo. I know. I get it. Got it.
good.
I feel like this takes a step beyond even like, and I raised questions with Harry Potter where it's like now the real world is getting involved, like the human world, and they kept it to a minimum. And I think that really aided in like the suspension of disbelief, where this movie is based completely almost in the real world with magic shit happening left, right, and center. And they every now and then they're like, you spoke to a non-mage, you got a non-mage involved. I'm like, fucking bitch! If I watch this movie, I can count at least like 50 non-mages that were involved. You probably killed a bunch of non-mages.
Now you're just nitpicking.
I just think it was easier to take in Harry Potter than it is in this franchise. So
well,
far.
it again. I think they're all tied in together. So
Right now I don't.
you
want
will.
And you also have to remember when they do go into that building, you see the giant clock, which is the Doomsday Clock that we have.
That was a really cool scene when they went in the side doors and they got like the Wizarding World and everything that was going on there. I just want a bit more of that, I guess.
In this
film.
I mean,
but I get why it didn't happen.
Just wait until the second movie. That's all I gotta tell you.
Wait until the third movie.
Moving on here, Tina brings Newt to the headquarters of the Magical Congress of the United States of America, or the MACUSA, because he was using magic in front of no-mages, the American term for muggles. What is it?
It's a bug. I just killed it. Just fuck them.
The MACUSA president, Serafina Pickery, is not happy to see Tina there since she was once an Auror but was dismissed due to a previous incident. Tina takes Newt to her old office and is confronted by Graves and other Aurors. When Graves demands to see what's in the suitcase, they find that Newt grabbed Jacob's case full of pastries. Again, how did these pastries stay fully intact with all of that going on?
I was eating some.
Well, he didn't know he had it because he didn't open the case.
They
should have known. He should have known because every now and then that fucking thing would come undone.
Who carries pastries in a fucking suitcase sideways?
Jacob does.
It's like carrying. You ever see somebody that carries a pizza sideways and should be killed?
Yes.
Yep.
I've done it.
Wrong.
You'd be killed.
Don't sing it, bring it, bitch.
It all just slams into each other.
And it just skips ahead here to Jacob brings Newt's case to his apartment and accidentally opens it, setting loose a few of the creatures, including the Niffler. Mary Lou is seen operating an orphanage where she teaches children about the evils of the magical community. Modesty sings songs about killing witches while Credence suffers physical and emotional abuse from Mary Lou. She takes the children to meet Langdon Shaw, brother of Senator Henry Shaw Jr. Langdon brings Mary Lou and the other kids to meet Henry and their father, Henry Sr., but both he and the senator dismiss the bare bones as freaks, which appears to irk Credence. I'm just going to ask this. What the fuck was the point of him grabbing the baseball bat?
Yeah, we all had that question. He grabbed it, walked 10 feet, gave it to somebody, and that was that. It's like, okay. And it wouldn't have stood out if he didn't walk like a fucking...
If he didn't walk like he was going to beat somebody's ass with it. Yeah. He walked and held it like this and was having that masculine strut going. It's like, we gonna kill somebody today.
For all of 2 feet.
I feel like this movie has like 3 storylines.
There's so
2 of
much.
which like they all converge eventually, but it's like they're so separate at the beginning that it's like, what is going on?
Well, isn't
like there's the Newt storyline, there's the Credence home life storyline, and then there's like the Colin Farrell ministry storyline. They do converge, but it takes a fucking hell of a long time for that to happen. And neither of them, in my mind, were exceptionally like.
I think the Credence.
Interesting.
I think the Credence and the
Modesty or Mary Lou.
No.
The Credence and the Colin Farrell storyline are like
storyline. They converge pretty quickly.
But it's like they're so separate from the Newt Scamander storyline.
For the time, but it kind of makes sense because they don't know each other until.
I mean, the storyline makes sense. I just don't think it is the way I would build a story for a movie to be better than. It's too separate for too long.
It gets together at one point or another, but
and
I can agree with your point.
I can see, and that's why the movie was 2 hours and 20 minutes long. Shouldn't have been.
Question, without going into spoilers.
Yes.
They mentioned that Tina was once or but was dismissed due to a previous incident. Do they reveal what that?
They do.
It's
the It's that woman, the Credence's mom. She like.
Oh, okay.
What did she do to her? She like
attacked
fought her or something.
She attacked her. She used magic.
She attacked her because of what she was doing to Credence.
Yeah.
Avada Kedavra!
Yeah, that would have been the smart thing.
She knows Credence. But the story that's when the story starts tying in.
He knows they then?
Essentially, yeah.
They one thing I will say that they do well in this movie, it's nothing but Ezra Miller. I like the beast designs. Most of them are pretty good.
Yes.
The ass wings, solid.
The what?
Ass wings. It's not just the ass wings, it's also feet wings.
And the bulbous fucking cancer nose.
I love how we were watching that. We're like, what? We all said it. We're like, why does he have ass wings?
Yeah.
Ass wings.
It made sense to the creature's
Did it?
build. Yes,
Did
it did. It did. Okay, that
creature
creature's
had no
fucking
ass.
thousands of pounds.
It had no
big
ass.
Fucking. It had hefty legs. Hefty
No, it didn't.
legs.
No,
Yes,
it
it did.
didn't.
Okay, go
First off-
rewatch. No,
first
you're wrong. Wrong. Where is it? Give it to me.
Wrong.
Hey, rewatch it. It's like a fucking griffin with like, it had ass legs, ass wings, and it had ass legs to keep up its ass legs. Rewatch it, man. I'm telling you. It was
You tell me what I'm looking for. Am I looking for ass wings or ass legs?
There's actually ass wings and then there's tail wings afterwards.
No,
There's a big
there was
motherfucker.
ankle wings, right? Like almost like Hermes.
No, you're
No,
wrong.
he had a split off tail that also had feathers on it.
But this
Motherfucking-
creature
all right,
is
hold on.
also the reason why he was coming to America.
Yeah, because he
Ass
had
wings?
ass wings.
Spoilers for the end of the
Yes.
movie.
Freaking flyer.
Watch out, those ass wings can be blowing.
I'm telling you, it like the creature.
What's the name of the
build
creature?
made
What was the name of the
sense.
creature?
American Eagle.
Fuck off. What was the name?
Oh, Dougal, right? Wasn't it Dougal?
Yeah.
No, the creature's name was Frank, but the actual name of the creature they never mentioned.
Who's
Googled
Dougal?
Frank,
Wasn't he
I just
talking-
keep getting
who
harsh
the fuck
truth.
was Dougal?
Dougal was that bird-like snake that could grow to meet the size of any space it's given.
All right,
Which
let me-
that creature never made any sense to me.
No, it didn't.
Sure.
It fucking
How does it
showed up in an
exist,
old
like,
church
on the
library.
planet's-
Poof.
If it was on the planet's surface,
Okay, it is.
what size did it
It's a
become?
first off, it's a thunderbird.
Okay.
You're a thunderbird.
Well, I'm about to look at this thunder thighs in a second.
Thunder.
I am
Thunder.
telling-
Thunder
it-
ho!
The explanation of the creature made complete sense to me.
The growing to any size is like if it's open on the planet's surface, it's going to grow the size of the
If
fucking
it
planet.
wants
I
to,
know.
but he did say if it wants to. It doesn't need to. It sometimes.
So you
just
thought,
does.
like, okay, so you're thinking that
What's
never
going on?
in that creature's life did it
Oh, you know
want
what?
to grow
Okay.
the size of the planet.
So I will say this: I am half right, half wrong. It does have. It does not have wings on the. I thought the wings were on the ankles. They're not. They're on the tail.
Mm-hmm.
So he has.
Yes, I told you.
Yeah, but he's not have strong legs. The fuck you talking
It's a
about?
big fucking
it makes-
beast. What are you talking
hold
about?
on, hold
Show
on.
me this image. Show me this
Sure.
I'm
image so
trying
I
to
can be
fucking.
like,
Oh my
wrong,
god.
wrong. You know you're wrong.
Wrong.
There.
I don't.
A minute. There.
That's a fucking. The big thing was massive, man.
Yeah, but it didn't
It's
have
tiny.
huge legs.
The legs
at
are
its
big
ass,
enough. Look how
though.
fat that tail. Look at that fucking tail.
No,
It's fat as shit.
It makes sense that hold on. It makes sense that it has wings on the tail with the tail that fucking fat, but you can't tell me the thing has fucking thunder thighs.
Okay, like the tail wings are mermaid shit. It needs like legit. Look how big this motherfucker is.
Yeah, he's fucking massive. I'm not
Was he
denying
gonna be
that.
hanging his floppy ass while he's flying?
No, he'll have her.
You know what? I agree with the design.
I do too, but I quick glance, I would have told you up and down the final set of wings out of the
Were on the
three
legs.
were on the legs because I don't know, but like I did not think it had that fat of a tail. But yeah, its legs are fucking. It skipped leg day.
I felt like that is like is that concept art? Because I don't think that's the actual.
It's close enough to what was actually in the movie, yes.
I felt like it had big legs, like big
It
monster
did not.
legs.
Big monster claws. Come on, give me something from the fucking movie.
Just scroll back up. It was right next to Newt Scamander.
Yeah, but it was like touching his face.
No, this one right here. No, right above that statue. No.
He's just purposely skipping it.
Go back.
That son of a
Scroll
bitch.
down.
Why does he look like Pinocchio?
Keep going.
Down.
Keep going.
One more.
Right there.
Stop.
Nope.
That's a video that he's passing by.
Yeah,
Still.
I'm not saying to play it. You can still see clearly.
Look, those are some big legs.
Those are big claws.
Big legs.
Hey,
No,
guys,
those claws are held up by big legs.
You guys are spending
Wrong.
way
Fuck you.
too much fucking time on this goddamn fucking bird.
He was essential to the storyline.
And this is why we have 3-hour streams, folks.
Hey guys.
He wasn't that
Hey.
essential.
Hey, listen. We make things entertaining, all right? If anything else.
He was super essential. What are you talking about? He's the whole reason they obliviated the fucking city.
Okay.
And he was the whole purpose for Newt being there.
JP's like, if that's what you want to believe.
Alright, if that's essential.
Oh,
I wish I had ass wings.
Alright.
Fly my ass out of here.
Moving on.
My God.
Credence meets in secrecy with Graves, who needs Credence's help in locating a child with immense powers. In return, Graves promises that he'll help Credence get away from the abusive Mary Lou. Newt and Tina find Jacob's building, which has been partially destroyed. Jacob has been attacked by a murtlap, which has scratched his neck. Newt grabs...
Didn't it bite him?
Apparently here it just scratched him.
Well, the fucking whoever wrote this synopsis is a fucking
Can we
idiot.
just get
That
on
might
with it,
have-
please?
Yes.
Newt grabs the
Where's his
creature
ass
and
wings?
throws him back into his case while repairing the apartment. He and Tina take Jacob with them away from the apartment. The three go to Tina's apartment,
I
which
have a three-way.
she shares with her younger sister Queenie, an expert legamans or legilimens. She can read minds. Jacob is immediately smitten with her, and Queenie can see it, but she doesn't mind. Newt and Jacob go to rest in their room, but Newt hops inside of his briefcase and invites Jacob to join him. Newt gives Jacob a treatment for his neck wound and then shows him the various habitats made for the creatures that dwell in there. Newt shows Jacob a thunderbird named Frank, which Newt claims is the main reason he traveled to America. He wants to return Frank to his
Not
natural
important at
habitat
all.
in Arizona. Jacob comes across a particularly dark entity encased in a bubble called an obscurial, which Newt orders Jacob to stay away from. He then asks for Jacob's help in retrieving the missing creatures. Jacob agrees. Alright.
Trying to rob a jewelry store.
Yeah.
I love how this motherfucker waited like 12 hours before he gave him the fucking cure to his bite.
Well,
He had to find him first.
He had to find it first, and then he had to find Kate.
They went to dinner.
Well, they went to her apartment, and he couldn't give him the treatment for it because she would have obliviated Jacob right then and there. Which is what he said when he was putting the ointment on his neck. If she sees that you have stopped sweating, then you're in trouble.
On top of that,
Instead, he's like, "I'm gonna keep you as bait."
Yeah.
basically,
Yeah.
Terrible piece of shit. Okay.
Once
Let's all
again,
accept that.
everyone in this movie is an asshole. Except for Jacob, everyone's an asshole. I'll just say this much. Cute scene, fine, it is what it was. But the visual of inside of Newt's case was really
Yeah.
nice.
That was really cool.
That reminded me a lot of the visuals of like Hogwarts in terms of like the detail, the design, all that stuff. Yes.
It's actually more accurate to say the tent. The Weasley's tent.
Yeah.
Yes.
But you know what? That I guess, and I'm kind of wrong, because that I guess is like this versions of like Diagon Alley.
Yeah.
It's still like is separate, pretty. It's more separate than the Harry Potter series from the Magic and world.
Mm-hmm.
But that was a cool scene. I did enjoy that scene, and I didn't enjoy him kind of like explaining the fucking creatures. I hate when he fucking yo-yoed a creature at him.
Yeah.
I guess I shouldn't do that. Fucking
Well,
cunt. Like, I
that
beat the
was
shit out
him,
of him.
and I get that, but that was him trying to be funny.
Yeah,
wasn't
it's
funny.
this is why like he comes off like there's something wrong with him.
Well, of course there's something
Well,
wrong with him. I can tell you there's something fucking wrong with him.
He's also not met many Muggles in his life, and you can
Yes.
tell.
That's why. That's why he is.
But it was a neat scene. They showed all the creatures, which was cool.
Yep.
I liked most of this part of the movie because this is like now the movie begins to breathe and gives like worth to characters. We know a bit more about Newt when they look at Zoe Kravitz in a photo. We get a bit more of like a relationship possibly between Jacob and the ditzy girl. I can't remember her name.
Queenie.
And I enjoyed most of this entire scene.
Mhm,
I don't
yeah.
really care. Like the Credence stuff was just.
It came
Yeah,
out of left
it was
field
just-
with no real connection to
Well,
anything else.
But it does make sense.
Got a lot of Hawaii vibes.
It does make sense. I always thought she was like take off her belt so she could spank his ass, but no, she was just beating his hands.
Yeah, because she thought he was
EG.
magical.
Well,
It's so fucked. It's like she's like anti-magic central, yet she surrounds herself with fucking magical people.
Yeah,
Yep.
go figure, right?
Irony. What a dumb bitch.
All right. Newt and Jacob go on the town and find the Niffler trying to rob a jewelry store.
which was one of the
Fucking
funniest. That was
greatest
fucking
scene in the movie, I
hilarious.
think.
That was hilarious.
It was.
Newt
Yep.
chases the Niffler through the store, causing significant damage to the whole place. The cops arrive as Newt catches it. The cops are distracted when they see a lion walking through the streets, giving Newt a chance to apparate himself and Jacob out of there. Fucking perfect use of the demiguise there.
Yep.
Mom's busy.
Yeah, funny, haha.
You know, as much as I like the sight gags that they do with this
seen it.
movie, they take a
I've seen
bit
it.
too much time out of like the central storyline.
Yeah.
I'm talking about like the Niffler and where you're gonna go right now with the rhinoceros thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just perfectly explains how he is not used to the Muggle world.
What are you doing?
It has its like it fits in the story. It's just like I think for me as a viewer, and I don't know if what Connie you're feeling this too. It's like I was waiting for like that hook of interest to see like what's the big picture here, and this is where like I was like okay this is the meandering part. It was visually enjoying, but after everything that came before it, I was like, what the fuck is the movie about?
Yeah.
Well, it did take me a while to kind of catch on to like because it's kind of the same. I mean, obviously, Harry Potter did it better, but it was like the first movie. The first movie was a fucking info dump because you're getting used into a new world. And granted, there's a lot of similar traits that are obviously in the same world as Harry Potter's because it's the Wizarding world, but it's 1920s. And things have drastically changed. And like, JP said, Dumbledore's only a mention in the background right now. So where it's kind of like, we've talked about before here like how Star Wars has been the Skywalker saga and it's always about the main, like the Skywalker story. Well, this is at this point, it's a side piece off of that. So it's a little bit more like, all right, let's kind of get our bearings and getting our surroundings. It's like a certain asshole who decides to run off in the middle of a mission and back for blood.
It takes
Yeah.
a long time to show the fucking actual meat and potatoes of the storyline, and like it spends too much time on like the appetizers in my mind, and I think I think that's probably going to be rectified in the next couple of movies, but I haven't seen them.
You'll see. Don't worry.
Rectum.
Something will be right.
Rectum sempre.
Yeah. Right, the guys continue walking through the city and see other zoo animals running loose. They see another creature, a huge erumpment wandering
Bless you.
around. Newt gives Jacob a helmet in preparation for catching the beast, then does a bizarre mating dance to lure it toward him.
Stop.
Oh yeah, that thing.
This scene, like when I seen this, I'm like, this guy is I'm starting to think that this guy has had sex with these creatures. Because he knows exactly what to do.
So not what I was thinking, but I was thinking more along the lines of you know what the scene reminded me of? Ace Ventura.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what this reminded me of.
He's essentially a magical Ace Ventura. I agree with that.
Basically. Anyway, sorry, continue, Heather.
The Erumpent sees Jacob and goes after him instead. That's wrong. But Newt manages to pull it back into the briefcase. Tina, who has gone looking for the guys after...
That's a huge bitch!
Oh, yes!
Tina, who has gone looking for the guys after seeing they weren't in their room, sees them catching the Erumpent.
The Erumpent.
I felt like the scene, like the whole scene, it wasn't bad. I mean, it was like, for comedy's sake, it was all right. But again, like it's a little too long, and the mating dance thing that he does,
just for Jacob to slip up and get some of the pheromone on him, like half of the fucking bottle.
I feel like you either choose this scene or you choose the Niffler scene.
Mm-hmm. You don't use
the Niffler as like a character in this movie has far too much screen time. It's an interesting character, but after the first like bank issue, I don't think we didn't. I don't think we needed to revisit the character.
Disagree.
Of Niffler. I mean, it was an interesting sight gag, but it's like, how much more are you going to take away from the movie?
Pre-Grogu, before Grogu was cool.
He's just a fucking platypus, motherfucker.
He is a cross between a platypus and a fucking porcupine.
A porcupus.
Yeah. The porcupus.
Porcupine.
Porcupus.
Here is where things start to build now. A conference is held for Senator Shaw as part of his bid for presidency. A rumbling shakes the entire building before an unseen and powerful force sweeps through the place, grabs Shaw, and slams him to the floor, killing him. Henry Sr. goes over to his son's body.
That was a great scene.
Yes, while Langdon knows it's the work of witches. Tina brings Newt's briefcase to the Makuza as they are gathered with other witches and wizards from around the world in the wake of Shaw's death. Tina opens the briefcase to let Newt and Jacob out when the Aurors learn that an Obscurial was responsible for Shaw's death and that Newt and Tina have let Jacob, a no-mage, become aware of their world. Graves confiscates the briefcase and has the three arrested. We'll pause it right there real quick because that's a big chunk of the main plot of this movie right there in a lot of sense. This is the true plot of the movie coming through. I mean, there's terror going through, not just from Grindelwald, but apparently there's an Obscurial loose in New York.
Loose. Loose.
And they're assuming that is the Obscurial.
He is the reason that the Obscurial was loose. But this movie came out in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
The CGI for this part, where Shaw gets thrown to the ground, bit video game like.
I never really found a huge, like, yes, the CGI was very obvious when it was happening, but I never really had like a huge problem with it because I felt like it was kind of in line with the Harry Potter movies.
As the leader of the Marvel Roundtable, I withdraw any comments regarding CGI.
It's better than fucking She-Hulk, that's for sure.
So when it comes to this scene, when this happens, doesn't so much bother me that it is CGI because...
Oh, I don't care it's CGI either, but...
The concept of what they were trying to get across, I get. So it didn't take me out of the fucking movie. That's all I'll say.
I do feel like this, and I kind of get like Connor's point more while we're dissecting it. This movie is either too long or not long enough. but it's
It was
not
too
good where
long.
it exists. In like it doesn't. There's a lot of interesting things that we don't get to see, and
Yes.
whether that's just because we're gonna make multiple of them.
Phantom Menace.
It worked better in Harry Potter when it was an introduction to the world than it works on like a prequel where like you're only holding back because you want to like ring this out for every dollar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I felt like that way when they showed the American like Ministry of Magic. You only ever got like tidbits. I was like, hey, I'd like to know a little bit more how this works. Nope, you ain't gonna know. And back to like I found the the most boring part of this movie was I don't give a shit about Credence. That whole storyline for me was like, yeah, I get its purpose, but it was so like I've seen it a million fucking times
It has no
in
weight.
film. Yeah, because we don't know anything about Credence. We're just introduced to like some fucking shy kid. But then the lead character is a shy kid. Everybody's a fucking shy kid. So it's like he gets beat. I don't feel the emotional weight of that at all.
Well, I feel if they had let him finish telling the story of the 8-year-old girl that he tried to save, who was also infected with an obscurial, Credence would have held more weight.
Yeah, they seem to gloss over, I think, the things that they should have shown.
Yes.
And that goes with the beginning of the movie with the papers and just what you said. And instead they spent a lot of time on like sight gags and
So
it's gonna make for a watchable movie, but it's not gonna make for
you can
a really
say
good
you
movie.
don't care about Credence, but spoiler alert, he is one of the central characters throughout this whole series.
Well, spoiler alert, he's fucking dead at the end of this movie, so
Is
thank
he
you.
though?
Huh. Just wait and watch, Basement. Wait and watch.
Well, no, I don't need to, because I already know he comes back. Thanks, JP.
I kept saying
This is why I don't like him being part of it.
Well, it's not even. I didn't need to spoil it for you because on the fucking thing he's broadcast
I didn't
as
watch
one
the
of the main
thing. I didn't watch
characters
the
in
thing.
next
Whatever you're
one.
talking about, I haven't seen.
No,
So now I know
understand
he
that.
comes back.
did he run really fast backwards?
No, well, he might.
The next
have.
movie is set in Hawaii.
It might be.
What tipped you off?
Oh no, it's them.
I'm going to tell
Yeah, I
you right
think
now, the
it-
next movie, there's part of it that he doesn't like, but
I don't remember.
Connor, what did you feel about the Credence storyline?
What about?
It
Like
goes
the
back.
entirety of it.
It just
I
it
guess.
didn't have enough punch to it. Like the idea that Colin Farrell's character was supposed to be a important person. It's like which we'll get to, and seems like he's doing some shady shit. Okay, I fine. I can. That's an easy fall enough concept. Especially where like Newt's the like, oh, I'm just here to try and do this nice thing by Crocky. I'm doing a horrible fucking impression.
You are.
Some Australian person for some reason.
Does it feel like
Um,
two movies just smashed together that only conveniently happened to
coincide
end?
at the end, yeah.
Yes, and I hate to like keep bearing this point over and over again, and I want to keep too much more time. Why did people love Harry Potter? Kids and magic. What does this movie have? Not kids and not
Barely any
a
magic.
whole lot of magic.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is gonna be a success. If you did this one movie later, maybe it'd have more punch to it. But it just felt like, why should I give a shit about Credence? Why should I give a shit about Colin Farrell?
They mashed two things together that needed more time to breathe. If they had the first movie about Newt and him coming and trying to find a home, and they sprinkled in the characters of Colin Farrell and Credence so you got an idea of who they were, and then the next movie had what happens towards the end of this movie, I feel like you might have more investment in like something long term because that's what they're going for.
I still feel that if they kept this movie as it was right now, if they had taken out the scene of the Niffler breaking into the jewelry store and let him expand on that story of the 8-year-old girl that he tried to save, Credence's character would have had more weight at that moment.
That definitely helps. It would help a lot of this film. But it just seemed to be like insert him getting beaten.
Yeah.
Yet we don't know. as an audience member, I don't know anything. It's a fucking kid with a bowl cut. I don't know anything else about him, and it's like feel bad
That's
for
a
him.
huge bitch.
Well, and again, there's a reason for that. You're not supposed to really know yet. That's the point.
Yeah, which hurts.
It hurts the end.
It hurts the first
Does
movie.
It, though? I don't think it
For me,
does.
it did.
I
It
don't
did
think
fuck
it does.
massively.
I don't think it does.
If you made it just about Newt, I would have been able to. I would have bumped this up a little bit more. If you didn't have-
I agree with you.
If I'm not saying much, I'm just saying I would have bumped it up more. Credence felt like a weird. You know what? Now that I think about it, it's fucking Scooby Doo.
It felt like
Oh
it
my
felt
God.
like a shoehorn in to be like, we're also a mystery.
Seriously.
And who was it all along? What's behind your face, Colin?
Old man Credence.
Yeah, it was definitely like it had screen time, but it never had the weight of importance it needed to close off the movie. For me,
Was it an Obscurial?
Wrong.
No, it was Old Man Credence.
I-
All right. Moving on.
anyways,
Graves interrogates Newt about the Obscurial in his briefcase. Believing him to be a fanatic of Grindelwald's in his agenda to put the magical community above the non-magic community through murderous means, Graves sentences Newt and Tina to death. Queenie overhears this as she reads Tina's mind. While locked up, Newt explains to Tina and Jacob that an Obscurial is a dark force created out of a magical child's suppression of their powers. That's not what he fucking said! The children who conjure up Obscurials don't live past the age of 10. That he did say.
Hold on. I didn't. Okay. I took that
It was
wrong.
a child possession killer.
No, I took that
he
wrong.
said
I
it
thought
was
that
a
was- I thought-
parasitic entity. He never said anything about it being a child suppression of power.
Well, that's
No, but,
essentially
like,
what it is, though. But that's
I thought-
essentially what an Obscurial is. A
I thought
child
it-
that doesn't use magic ends up getting becomes an Obscurial because their magic is suppressed.
Holy shit.
They did not explain that well at all.
No,
No.
I thought what I heard was, or understood was, the Obscurial does not live past the age of 10.
No, it's the
No,
Not-
I
child.
heard that. I did hear that it possessed a child and the child died because of it. But I thought it was
shit.
like a
Parasitic.
I thought this was like spooky possession. It was a creature that attached itself to a magical
they did a
child.
terrible job of explaining it, but
I didn't hear that it possessed a suppressed magical child.
Fucking hell. Okay, that makes a lot more sense now. Still.
I will tell you this right now: they do a better job of explaining it in the third movie.
Which is a huge problem.
I
Yes.
agree with you
Yes.
on that. I agree with
Like,
you.
it's a huge plot point in this movie. It's like
Yes.
everything that's like important doesn't seem like it. It doesn't draw my attention because they say it in passing, and everything that's unimportant, they like really spend a lot of time showing it.
Honestly, I don't even think it's just that they mention it in passing. Is they give it a completely
don't mention
different
it.
explanation in the actual script,
I think the book probably explains it a lot better.
which I haven't read the books.
I do feel like the book though this is like the difference between taking like a fully fleshed out 400-page novel versus taking a novella and making it into it's turning The Hobbit into 3 movies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it shouldn't happen because there's not enough there.
All right.
Fuck him.
Yeah. Newt and Tina are brought into a room where they are to be placed into a pool that will kill them. One of the witches extracts some of Tina's memories. One shows her as a child, and another she attacks Mary Lou and tries to comfort Credence. Before Tina is killed, Newt unleashes one of the creatures in the room to escape with Tina. When Queenie shows up, they get Jacob and she sneaks him out in the briefcase. At the Barebone home, Credence is growing more and more unstable. He finds a wand in Modesty's room, which Mary Lou sees and thinks belongs to him. She gets ready to beat him again until Modesty admits the wand was hers. The Obscurial gets loose and kills Mary Lou before destroying the rest of the house, leaving only Credence and Modesty alive. Graves later finds Credence and urges him to find modesty, since Graves now believes she is the child that he foresaw.
Are we going to talk about the fucking reverse hand goblin?
No.
What's wrong with that guy's hands? Why are they backwards?
We are going to talk about him. He's coming up soon in the next paragraph. Do you want me to just go through that?
No.
I don't care.
I gotta, like, that. I did not care for the obscurial design after watching 8,000 Marvel movies.
When they showed the obscurial that Newt had in his case, that
I like
was
that.
better.
Yeah, I like that.
We
I
have
didn't
to
like the
remember
full-fledged
this one,
version of it, which
but-
is Smoke Monster.
Yeah, but this
Well, you got to remember that one was
from an 8-year-old girl. This one is from Credence, who is like 15.
16?
Yeah.
It was
Nice.
like it's just like the
Well-
laziest fucking version of a monster I could think of.
Yeah.
You don't
because-
see it. It's just like a bunch of like
Clouds.
twirling fucking DNA strands.
I can
with ghosts.
but given now the explanation of it, I can kind of
What?
I can-
How does it make sense?
Cereal isn't really even a thing. It's just like you said. It's parasite. It
It's
can be whatever you want it to be.
the obscurial is literally from that explanation that we got here with this, not from in the fucking movie. It's literally just pure magic, like what we saw in Hogwarts Legacy.
it's an entity. It's not a creature per se in the traditional sense of what we've been seeing with beasts. I you know what I
I
quoted to
just don't
like
like
the
the. I
symbiote.
don't like the design because I've seen the design too much, and it
Yeah,
doesn't
it's-
give like it doesn't.
Yeah.
The reason I don't like it is because it's not memorable.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be this like parasitic it's like the big bed that it's built upon, and I look at it, I'm like, oh god, it's the smoke monster from Lost.
Oh God, yeah.
Hey.
You know what I mean? Like it
Yeah.
doesn't stand out to me. And I think there's like you could still have all the smoke and shit, but you can do a little bit more with like you get a glimpse of what's beneath the smoke, and it's like
Well, they
DNA
do. They
strands or
try
something,
later
or,
on.
like,
They try later on
a
where you get a
construct.
face in the clouds and all that. But yeah.
Yeah, and then I was like, oh, Mummy Returns. It just never really did it for me. I gotta take a piss.
All right, we'll pause there. Yeah, Connor, your thoughts on what happened so far?
We haven't gotten to the goblin, right?
We are going to just now approach it with the next paragraph.
Yeah. No, the Credence thing was honestly very difficult for me to either like track and or sink my teeth into, because to Basement Point, it does feel like 3 fucking stories going on at once, and it's kind of tricky when you're trying to learn, because you don't, not yet anyway, you don't know what's important.
Right.
Or more important, or I should say more important than the other in terms of like, is this just a throwaway scene? Is this just a building scene? Like the
This
Credence
is
stuff I was
not a
huge.
throwaway scene.
Well, that's what I mean. But it's difficult to differentiate some of those scenes because you're still in information gathering phase and trying to understand everything. And it's like, well, is this on a scale of 1 to 10 by round of applause? How fucking important is this scene? All right, not that important.
Well, the ending of the movie really kind of, and this is why you're like, well, what fucking good is Credence? He dies at the end of the fucking movie, right? That's it. There's nothing more to it. Well, my point is that honestly, if they wouldn't have done what they did at the end of the movie, and I don't know because I haven't read the book,
I haven't
fucking
either.
read. I don't know if that is how they wanted it to be in the book, because from what I'm gathering, Harry Potter, there's more to the books than in the movies.
Yes, there's a shit ton more in the
So,
books.
I mean, they might do a better job of explaining what happens. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
So
No, I get you.
Credence is very centric to this story. Very centric.
True, but the problem is not necessarily Credence in a 50-50 split. It's hard for me to sink my teeth into it.
Well, when you see
I
the
honestly
next
feel like
movie-
Credence should have been like the fucking starting point of the movie, if he's so
I
important.
agree.
Because Newt Scamander can eat my asshole.
I agree. Well, it actually didn't start with him. It actually started with Grindelwald. But
Fuck your
yes.
papers.
Moving on. Newt, Tina, Jacob, and Queenie go to a magic speakeasy in Harlem called the Blind Pig. They ask the owner, a goblin gangster named Narlac, played by Ron Perlman, so there is an excuse for his face, for information on finding the last missing beast, a demiguise that Newt named Dougal. Narlac wants something in trade, and has his eyes set on the little bow truckle resting in Newt's jacket pocket. Newt reluctantly hands over the bow truckle, which reaches out for Newt. Narlac tells them to go searching in a Macy's. Almost immediately, Narlac reveals that he sold the heroes out to the Makuza, who come in and go after the heroes. Jacob punches Narlac in the face before they have to escape.
The funny thing about this is when he takes a drink of the
Fuck
giggle
you.
water. I am so sorry. That fun when he takes that shot of the giggle water is so fucking great.
Hey, this scene with Jacob is he fucking cold cocks fucking Narlac. That was great too.
Well, I'd cold cock a fucking midget too.
This is what, like, nobody beat up fucking goblins. Come on, fucking tall and fucking look like they can't fight shit.
Oh my god! That just fucking the sip of the giggle water, then punches him in the face, and then another sip of the
So
giggle
good.
water, and he fucking
And then they apparate right as he does it.
as he giggles. It's just like, what the fuck?
There's like 40% of this movie that I'm fully on board with.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then here comes the part where I just say, fuck this, man. The heroes go to the Macy's and find Dougal, who is looking after an Akami, a large winged serpent creature, hiding up in the ceiling. It causes trouble in the store for the heroes, but Newt tells Jacob and Tina to get an insect and a teapot. Jacob gets a roach and Tina grabs a teapot. Jacob tosses the roach into the teapot, allowing them to catch the Akami as it shrinks and is caught in the teapot.
Fucking Steph Curry.
Alright, now you're nitpicking.
He throws a fucking cockroach 40 feet into a teapot.
It's not. He doesn't throw it 40 feet. She runs to go catch it. So,
That's even more impossible.
did she turn into Devontae Adams at that point? I mean,
Did it have to be a fucking teapot? Couldn't have been like anything that with a lid
a
that was small.
box, a fucking box. For all there were plenty of them.
Either way, the point they were trying to get across is they caught the fucking creature. Zuh.
Yeah.
Which he keeps a shitty inventory because he miscounted.
Well, he
I
didn't
also love the
know.
fact that like the monkey like goes invisible and walks away, and the next scene we see he's carrying the monkey in. I'm like, that motherfucker left.
That was
man.
Oh god!
so
And
good.
it also gave a little taste of what a demiguise can do, and that's see the future.
I can see the future.
I know I mentioned this while we were watching it, but why did they have to make the fucking demiguise look so decidedly Asian?
You caught that. I was looking at it, I'm like, oh, it's just a fucking ape. Why does he look so Asian? And then all I was seeing was that guy flipping his fucking beard from Kill Bill. It fucking destroyed me.
I didn't mind it. I think the demiguise probably would have been a better character to have them looking for because it's invisible.
Invisible, yeah.
Not the Niffler. That's just me.
Yeah, I agree with you. They try to cram too much.
Yeah.
I think because they wanted to like, oh, it's Fantastic Beasts, so we gotta show a bunch of beasts. But it's like, yeah, maybe not.
Here's
Because you're
another
also
thing.
trying to tell a storyline completely different from the namesake.
Yeah, did they ever show them actually catching the flying bug?
No, I think
I
he
don't
just
remember.
he fucked off.
Well, didn't they kill?
He fu-
They killed one.
I don't think they killed any.
Yeah, they did. I think they did. Either way. Anyway.
Anyway.
They killed them all.
Inside the
Gotta
briefcase.
kill them, gotta kill them all. Gotta kill them all. Genocide.
Inside the briefcase, Queenie sees a picture of a girl named Letta Lestrange, who has an old connection to Newt. He doesn't want to talk about it, as their relationship seems to have ended unhappily.
Did you catch that name?
all the fucking interesting things in this movie is like, we won't talk about it.
Yeah.
We're gonna move past
my
it.
God,
Watch
yeah.
the next movie, and I'm like, oh fucking Christ, man. Everything I see there is like, oh my God, I know that from Harry Potter, and I'm interested. It's like, no. You need to
Not
wait.
yet. You're
Sit
not
down.
yet ready, young Padawan.
I just watched 8 fucking Harry Potter movies. What do you want from me?
Oh, God. Graves and Credence find modesty in her old family home. When Graves makes it clear that he will not help Credence despite his promises, Credence's rage intensifies, and it turns out that he is the one who has been possessed by the Obscurial. His advanced age has allowed him to build up his power, making him the most powerful Obscurial alive. Credence sets off through the city streets, leaving a trail of destruction behind him. Oh, thank God, we're almost at the end of this. Newt goes after Credence since he knows the Aurors will kill him without knowing the truth about him. He tracks Credence to an underground subway, not that hard to find him, station, and soothes him back into his normal form. But when Graves, Tina, and the Aurors all arrive, Credence returns to his Obscurial form. Although Newt and Tina urge the Aurors to let him handle Credence, Pickery orders them to kill Credence. They fire their wands at Credence and destroy him. Graves then betrays the Aurors for their rules berates the Aurors, for their rules and handling of the magical and non-magical communities. Pickery orders Graves to hand over his wand and surrender, but he defies her and fights the other Aurors. He's able to protect himself against their blast, but he is subdued by Newt and is bound. Newt uses the Revelio charm on Graves, revealing him to be none other than Grindelwald. He is promptly arrested.
Jack Sparrow.
You son of a bitch.
Where'd all the rum go?
Alright.
The one thing I did like is that Credence really didn't lash out until his sister was in danger. So they do a bit of building for him as a character there.
Well, he lashes out more when Graves turns to him and says that he's worthless.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but before that happens, he kills his fucking mother asshole because she's like, oh, it's she as soon as the daughter comes in, it's my wand, and she's like, I'm going to belt you. And he's like, fuck it, done.
But he does say there is a scene. I think if I remember right, he does say he is worthless. And then,
it's literally just before.
He goes, well, we can control this power. And Credence goes, I don't think
I want to anymore.
I want to not be controlled. And that's when he just goes apeshit.
When he fucking shows his full hand, he's like, you're a squib, you're a piece of shit, you've always been a piece of shit, I'm here for the sister, not really knowing. But he does show, at least Credence shows, I'm only going to lose control willingly when the life of someone else that I love is in danger. So they do a bit of build-up for him, which I'll give them something for. The whole ending of this movie is just, it's so fucking Marvel that it kills me. It's
well, no, it's
smoke
DC
monster
because
destroying
it's
the city.
Ezra Miller.
And we almost get a sky beam.
Almost get a sky beam, yes. But
You know it's
Fuck you.
You know it's true. He runs around destroying this city, and I kind of fucking hated this part. He's destroying the city, and Colin Farrell's following. Yeah, Credence. It's it goes on for way too long. And then they end up under the subway, and by that time, I'm like, okay. They make a fucking barricade that does nothing.
Yeah, everybody
He's
still
an
sees it.
Obscurial. He's an Obscurial. They didn't know that it couldn't stop. They couldn't stop it.
The shield was more to contain the actual magic that was going on, rather than preventing people from seeing.
Yes.
Right. Because
So
That's a huge bitch.
Right.
The ending of the movie was super weak for me. It's actually Grindelwald. It's Scooby-Doo. Super Scooby-Doo.
The more I think about it, it's fucking Scooby-Doo. Yeah. I have to reserve a little bit more opinion because I have to see what happens in the last two movies to kind of get more of a actual concrete idea of what the fuck happens. But I feel like, yeah, they missed the mark here with Newt a little bit and the credence, but we'll have to see how things play out.
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
then fucking
they never really like the two main players and the storylines. They never like they converge as in they interacted, but they never really like it never like met past the interaction of two completely different storylines touching at one point.
yeah. But the revealing of it being Grindelwald the whole time. What are your thoughts on that?
I could have told you it was Grindelwald the whole time. You were paying
When I
attention.
first watched it, I thing is I didn't I didn't get the fucking Grindelwald part in the beginning, so I wasn't expecting like a reveal. I knew I'm like this guy's probably bad, but I didn't know who he was. And then when they revealed it, I was like, okay.
Oh, it's the man from the papers.
Like I didn't give a shit because they didn't build up. They didn't do enough.
Yeah, it goes back to the whole lacking punch.
Yeah,
and it's,
everything
for me,
lacks punches.
I was like neat, but that's about as like that's
This is about as far as it goes.
that's about it. Yeah. I have a hunch that we're gonna see. I hope we're gonna see more of why Grindelwald should be revered and feared in the second movie. Maybe
I feel
even
like
more so the third.
the next couple will have to be better, in all honesty, because they're going to be a little bit more focused on
Like,
what the actual storyline is.
I hate to make constant comparisons to Harry Potter again, but like Voldemort was handled very well because it was slow build, slow build, slow build. He's back, fucking kill Batman, and then that was he got right off the bat with fucking killing somebody, which up to that point they really didn't deal with death on a major level at that point, where it's here's that guy you've read about in the papers.
Yeah, it's there's
Yeah.
not enough like build up for
I
it to be like, oh my
if-
god, Johnny Depp.
If you were paying attention, I mean,
Well,
if you
there's
were
a first
paying
one.
I feel like I was
attention
paying attention.
at the
Watched it
beginning,
twice.
if you paid attention at the beginning of the movie, you kind of figured out. I figured out who he was when he started doing all of his. He was shady, so
Yeah.
I knew who he was because he was being that shady character. So I knew he was Grindelwald. It's just
The thing is,
a matter
I
of
watched
time.
Fantastic Beasts years after Harry Potter.
Correct.
Like I all the Harry Potter lore and shit like that was gone from my memory, and I'm like, okay, cool, I'll watch this. And I watched it, and again, the intro sequence I didn't pay fucking any attention to them trying to tell me
Hogwarts.
super exposition in fucking papers flying at my head.
Well, I
So I
mean,
was like, okay, I then they're like, oh, it's
Oh
Grindelwald.
god,
I'm
it's
like, okay,
school all
Grindelwald.
over again. Hogwarts.
so
But Grindelwald to me is fucking like a fucking pile of shit compared to Voldemort in terms of what I know. And I get like he's like super powerful and stuff. They just never really they didn't build him up like Voldemort in any way.
No.
not yet.
Fuck 'em.
Not
Yeah,
yet.
but if you're gonna do a reveal of him as like the big gotcha at the end, you should have already fucking built him up.
I mean, whatever. I'm not gonna argue with you over it.
Moving on. Newt uses Frank to take a potion into the sky so that it can rain over all the non-mages
This is-
nearby, because the way you have this turned, it's hard to see, and obliviate them. Pickery thanks Newt for what he did, but reminds him that Jacob has to be obliviated as well, since there are no exceptions. Jacob tearfully says goodbye to Newt, Tina, and Queenie, then asks Newt why he let him stick around. Newt says he likes Jacob and thinks of him as a friend. Jacob stands in the rain, but Queenie steps in with her wand to create an umbrella to kiss Jacob. When he opens his eyes, the three are gone. Jacob returns to his old factory job, still unhappy with where he is. Dumbass.
I don't know what happened, but
I'll tell
I'm
you
glad
in a
it
minute.
did.
Newt bumps into him and drops.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
Newt bumps into him and drops a briefcase full of alchemy eggshells, which are made of silver, and a note explaining this so that Jacob can use it as collateral to open his bakery. At that point, with silver and what it cost in 1926, he wouldn't
No
have
shit.
needed the loan.
You could have just.
Cashed in the eggshells.
Yep.
Newt is going back
Which
to
is probably
London.
what he did.
Newt is going back to London and says goodbye to Tina at the ship terminal. He promises to return with a manuscript of his book, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, so he can personally give it to Tina. A while later, Jacob's bakery business is booming as he has fashioned his pastries to look like some of the beasts he vaguely remembers encountering. Queenie visits the shop. Jacob sees her and appears to remember her a little. And that's where the movie ends.
Whoop.
So the ending of the movie tells you there's going to be another movie.
I really dislike the obliviate the entire city.
Why?
They would
It
have done the
doesn't make any
same
fucking
thing.
sense.
They would have done the same thing if it happened in front of the leaky cauldron. So
Yes.
Yeah, but the entire city of New York. First of all, it's in the rain. It's in the rain, so like Connor said, how the people indoors getting obliviated, and then also
there were little tidbits. One person was drinking a cup of coffee, another one was showering, another one was brushing their teeth.
Because
but what if you weren't doing any of those things?
Just saying, water goes in the.
And
ground.
also, like the fact that this fucking creature just destroyed half the city.
There's black
There's a
splashes
bunch
in
of fucking-
toilets, so
There's a bunch of fucking muggles dead, and
Dude,
I got obliviated. I went home. What happened to your family?
I had a family?
What?
Either
Your wife?
Oh my.
Like, how far
God.
back does this go?
Well, that's a whole
the
nother
fuck are
movie.
you? I think you're
That's a
Madonna.
whole nother movie in itself. All right.
I mean, the blanket obliviating the entire city to me is like it was all a
Plot
dream at the end
device.
of a show. It's very
the
convenient.
plot device.
Yeah, it's very lazy.
I'm gonna tell you
In
right
terms of
now,
plot writing.
like she said, if it would have happened in Harry Potter, they would have done the same fucking thing.
Because the Muggle
All
world
of-
is supposed to be separate from the Wizarding world. To
Yeah,
prevent
this movie is
another
really
war.
lax with that.
I
Like,
can get
really.
behind. I can get behind the idea of a couple of people being obliterated. I want to get a fucking
Obliterated
obliterated.
is
You
what
fucking-
happened, alright.
Listen, Hitler.
I can get behind a small group of people all being obliviated. But I feel like the scope and size of the amount of people they did it to.
Wrong.
Yeah, that was a little hard for even me, and it's fucking.
Yeah, the entirety of New York City.
Yeah. Hey,
Come on.
we're not gonna use too magic too much, except for this big giant question mark of a thing that we're gonna do at the
What,
end.
what
of
if
the
you
movie.
saw all the magic happening and you left the city?
Holy shit! I gotta tell the press, and then just fucking ran.
It's like a very lazy plot device, and Harry Potter is lazy, but this is like
Hello,
super
News
lazy.
Weekly. Can you imagine that? Hello, News Weekly. You're not gonna believe this. Make sure you get all this information. Wait, let me just take this random cup of water that I found over the site.
For some
Shit.
reason, they're dispensing New York rainwater everywhere.
Where's your daughter? What daughter?
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
to me,
That was, okay,
to me,
hold on. That was my other problem with the whole obliviate thing. Timing. How far back are they fucking obliviating people?
Yeah, I mean, I think
Right.
just like the idea of doing it is like just lazy. It's so stupid.
I don't.
Any question dismantles the fucking plot device.
I
That's
have,
when you know it's bad writing.
Like I
that's-
said,
that's it.
I can appreciate a convenient plot device for the sake of a convenient plot device. Just the scope of the amount of people they did it to just was a little.
I feel like
little too much for me.
I'm okay with a plot device if I ask a question that can be answered. If I ask any question, it's like,
Magic.
don't do it. So yeah, the ending for me was pretty weak. The ending overall was pretty weak.
I am
if
a
this was
surgeon.
If this was a standalone movie, like the last 15 minutes were like, bleh. The fact that I know it's part of a trilogy
series.
is why I'm more accepting of the ending.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I am
So
a
quit
surgeon.
complaining.
And then they have me questioning like the power. It's the most powerful obliviate spell ever, coming from this little ball sack creature or whatever he has. And the guy fully goes out in the rain just because she puts an umbrella over him for like 1 second of it. Leads me to believe that he still remembers everything. to an extent.
That could be. That could be.
So he's not alone then.
I
Pretty
think
much
it is
anybody that got like
explained.
a
I think
bit
it
of
might-
rain on them
Da,
will remember
da,
everything.
da,
I think it might. Really. I think it might be explained in the next movie.
You
Okay.
watch
Are you
it.
saying that knowing it will?
Yeah,
or
I don't
you-
remember, but I might watch it tomorrow. I don't
Were you obliviated too?
know. I love,
Did you drink
I
the
did-
New
I
York
did-
City rainwater?
1926.
I didn't hate this movie. I'm gonna tell you that.
I didn't
either,
either,
but-
but
I
it
didn't
was a
nitpick.
pretty
So-
big step down.
I will say this. I'm not gonna nitpick it because I took it for what it was worth.
Well,
Okay.
I've
Just like
nitpicked
the other
everything
Harry
in the
Potter
fucking
movies, I
universe.
took it for what it was.
Well, if I
They-
take
I mean-
every movie,
There's
yes,
It wasn't
there's
as
a
good. The storytelling was not as good as the Harry Potter movies. This movie is like a 6.5, 7 out of 10 for me.
well, before me and Basement go off because we have opinions. Heather, what did you think of this movie?
I did. There were problems with it, and what we read in that synopsis explained certain parts of it better than what we actually saw in the fucking
Yeah,
movie.
agreed.
So that is my problem with it. How you doing, Mikhail? That is the problem I had with that. I mean, reading the actual origins of the Obscurials made it more accepting for that creature to be in existence rather than it being a parasitic thing.
Right.
So, yeah.
I, again, didn't mind it. Didn't love
Basement.
it. Wasn't the greatest movie ever.
it's a big step down from the franchise before it. Its namesake.
The next two
It was
movies,
going to be. It was going to be regardless, right?
Yeah, because it's the
It's
first one
still-
of the franchise. So.
I will tell you this. The next two movies I liked.
I mean, I didn't dislike this movie.
No, I didn't.
It's still entertaining enough to watch, but it because there's so much lore to Harry Potter, I think it does a disservice to not only the lore to an extent, but also to like the namesake, because it is a very middling movie. I really can't go beyond like a 5.5 out of 10. It's entertaining. It's not terrible, but I like it's not a movie. I saw it twice. I'll probably never watch it again.
I'll watch it again.
It's just it is what it is. The storyline's all over the place. They got too many things going on, and nothing feels worth a main storyline because they didn't put the time into it. I do feel like if given a better script and still with the points, like the story points, it probably would have been better than what it was.
Okay.
I already told you what I thought.
Your rating.
I said 6.5, 7 out of 10.
Okay.
12 out of 10. This was a toughie. This was a tough. Not that I did. Like I said, there's aspects of this that I can enjoy and I can sink my teeth into. Without knowing, I know generally speaking, we're going to get more of Dumbledore as we go along. And I personally feel, and again, not knowing how the other two movies go, he should have been one of, if not the main characters of this movie.
Agreed.
Now, I don't know how things play out,
You'll see.
but there's a lot there. Man, this thing is pushing the biggest fucking boulder up the top, like the
Uphill,
biggest
yeah.
fucking hill, because you have the chore of like essentially doing a spinoff, a prequel spinoff with characters that we don't really know a whole heck of a lot about. So there's a lot of still like info / lore dumping. There are parts of it, like some of the comedy aspects I'm with Basement, fucking died laughing and loved. But there's just part of it where it's like I was saying earlier, you don't know yet what's throwaway and what's not because you're absorbing so much. I was like, oh, sweet, Jacob's gonna be around the long haul. Nope. We're gonna have to like I like Jacob as a foil to be able to like kind of like we talked about in the other Harry Potter movies of like, we muggles need to be taught and caught up to speed on what the fuck is going on, which I appreciated. But there's I love the lore. I love the world building. I do love the era it's set in too, which makes me beg the question. I kind of want to see the magical world during World War II.
They did allude to it. Remember, he's like his brother fought. He was a war hero.
Well, this was 1926, so it was World War One.
World War One.
I want to see World War II.
Well,
Well,
Give it time.
give it time, my friend. Give it time.
Sweet. So I would give it like a 6.5, same vein. There's potential, but there's so much to like. Again, it's pushing. The best way I can simply describe it, it is pushing the biggest boulder up the tallest mountain, and so there's a lot of things going against it. But I could, yeah. Let's see how this roller coaster ends.
I might raise my rating depending on how the next two go. As a standalone movie, I get you. I'm still giving it some credence, no pun intended, for it being part of a trilogy. And I think I can go as high as a 6 as well, but I just don't. I don't want to.
Don't know yet.
I can understand. But I will tell you, I have seen all 3 of them.
Fuck you.
Well, fuck you too. And I will tell you that I think personally, and you know how I am with movies, the next 2 are better. You're 100% correct. The next 2 are better.
I've heard
it does a better job, in my opinion, of telling the story of what's going the fuck on.
Well, now there's they can actually focus on something. Or this was
exactly.
Heather, what was your rating?
I am with you guys. But I am more towards the 6.5. Because like I said, I have not seen all 3. I have seen the other 2 in bits and pieces. I have not seen them all the way through yet. So
I did. I watched them. I'll make her watch it tomorrow.
You can stop.
She's watching it tomorrow.
Well, we're going to have to because we're going to be up by your daughter's this weekend and not have the time to watch it any other time.
I don't know why you're going to be fucking mad about it.
Anyway.
Jesus.
This movie, as it stands right now...
She's mean mugging from the side.
Because she's got a popsicle behind her back and she keeps crinkling the wrapper for it. This movie as a standalone right now is only a 6.5. If they did not, it's only a 6. If they did not continue the story on,
You have one.
I don't want it.
If they did not continue the story on, it would stay a 6. It would never be moved to a 6.5.
Oh, 100% agree on that one.
But again, overall, if things in this movie were explained as clearly as it was in the synopsis for certain things, it would have been better.
It's obscenely long.
I know, but if they like we said, if they had taken out the scene with the Niffler robbing the jewelry store and explained the 8-year-old girl situation, credence would have had a lot more weight.
I feel like there's no I can't. In my mind, I'm thinking of an audience you're looking at.
It's tough for me to save credence, to be honest with you. I mean, I agree with your statement, Heather.
He's got no character. He's just fucking a sniveling bitch the entire time. Because yes, I get it. He's abused, but it's he never speaks a word.
No, he does say a couple of lines, but Credence's character would have had more weight, and if they had done a better job of explaining Grindelwald to refresh people's memories of his involvement with the Harry Potter world.
Yeah.
The reveal of him at the end would have been more substantial as well.
I'm sorry.
Grindelwald.
Yep.
Oh.
So, but yeah, with that being said, that is the end of Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. Possibly next week. Depending. We'll be home, but what time are we getting home?
We'll be home it takes an hour and a half to get back.
That's up to you guys whether we do it next week.
We're just going up to watch my grandson play ball. We'll be home.
I know, but whether you're fucking
We'll be
Get
TBD.
home, jump online.
Next one is TBD.
Oh, we'll be home way
we'll let you
before
know.
then. We'll probably be home like 2.5 hours before we even go
Yeah,
live. I'm on
I will say
vacation.
this
I'm on
is the-
vacation all this next week. So.
This is the first time during the entire Harry Potter roundtable. I'm looking forward to watching the next one because I don't know for the most part what I'm going to be seeing.
Same.
I saw all the other ones beforehand, and I mean this one, I gave it a 5.5, but it's still it laid the groundwork enough to be I'm interested to see what goes on next. And I think part of that is knowing that there's a third, so it had to be successful enough to go there.
Yes, and what's even more amazing about that is the second one is The Crimes of Grindelwald.
So Grindelwald is more centrally focused in this movie.
I would hope so with a title like that.
That's such a weird, fantastic beast. Crimes of Grindelwald.
I'm John
All right.
Walsh. Welcome to
We're
America's
changing
Most
main
Wanted.
characters.
Not really, but we'll get there when we get there. So yes, we shall see you all next week. Tomorrow, check out HGGM mode. We are building now to King of the Ring.
Woo!
Yes. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then Saturday.
I don't know. Maybe. Depends.
If
I
he's,
might just go live, do some fucking stupid shit. I don't fucking know. I
If you want to see stupid shit, watch me play Crash Bandicoot for 2
you know
hours.
what I'm thinking about doing? I'm thinking about watching a fucking pay-per-view from days back. That's what I'm thinking about doing.
At the Stone Age?
Like fucking 1984
Right,
Starcade.
Stone will have some influence in that, I believe. Yes.
Ah!
Ric Flair move. Drink.
My body can't handle it.
I wake up. Is it Tuesday?
Tuesday, isn't it?
Yep. And then this week, No Bucks Given will be on hiatus because, again, we will be out of town. So,
No.
yeah.
There's some things to talk about. So if you go full retard mode on Saturday, JP, then we could probably bring up some of those talking points.
We could
There's
actually,
quite a
if you
few.
want to do No Bucks Given on freaking Saturday, I don't care. We can do that.
We could do like a fucking combination of things.
Yeah.
On
Yeah.
Saturday. Let's do that.
But you'll never know what we're going to do unless you are subscribed and hit that notification bell so you can always find out what our next move is going to be. Until then, folks, have a good night.
Let's go to Jurassic Park tomorrow.